So in review, you should be able to see that I really align myself with Socrates, with making sure that I ask myself and my students, what knowledge do we have? What knowledge do we need to learn? How do we learn it? Who do we need to learn it from? Where do we need to learn it from? And when do we need to learn it from? And I'm going to mess up his name, but I'm going to try again. Fair, where I'm using critical conscience. I'm making sure I identify that problem, find an original way of representing that problem, see the problem through my learner's eyes, analyze that cause of the problem, and take action to solve it. I believe in the first one helps to guide my lesson and make sure that it's relevant. And the second part helps to bring in the culture of the student, know why they need to know that problem, how to get the student to see the problem, know the problem, and we work together to solve that problem. I also think that the first two are not going to work if we don't take account of what our students are knowing and needing to do. And on that, I'm talking about Stephen Covey's Emotional Bank Account, EBA, where we understand them and we attend to those little details for the student. We keep our commitments, we clarify our expectations, and we have the integrity with our students to follow through. And that's for the good and for the consequences of. We need the reaction, the action, and then the reaction to go hand in hand with that. And then listening to others on that. I know our school is really high on learning styles and stuff, but I don't use those individually for my students in my classroom, even though I'm saying that I'm using VART. I'm using them all together because I find that my students need that. And the reason I use this in my classroom is that I find that if I use them all together, I have a more well-rounded student. So I actually write in the visual and the auditory and the reading and the kinesthetic view, so that I know I'm making sure that I cover that in there. And for example, with my student that has the dyslexia, I know that she's doing it. It's taken almost the whole year for her to write her ends correctly, but we celebrate that, and she's doing an awesome job on her ends. I also think that when I'm writing my lesson plans, it's very important that that I make sure that I'm planning it and making meaning and making sure that I make those social and culture connections and applying it to the real world situations for my kids, because I don't have time to waste their time. I don't have time to waste my time. So that's why I think this model by Shirley Grundy on the Praxis model works really well for me. And then again, on the smart planning is very important. I know the State Department of Oklahoma is really stressing writing SMART objectives and goals. And if I'm doing it on my IEPs, I should be doing it in my lesson plans to make sure that those measurements are there. And I hope through my presentation here that you have a really strong feel of how I feel in my classroom and my philosophy of teaching. And that if you saw what I was doing, you'd say, oh, that's Julie's. I know that she does that. Thank you for your time, and have a great night.